Good morning on this fairly cool for the time of the year morning. As you can see, if you follow my channel, I've just recently uploaded a video on my PSA the 1st of April, but we are today at the 19th of April, and that's because I've got a few strikes on my channel. It did say to me that I had 7 days and then I could upload again, but after 8 days I was still prohibited from doing it. So I've been trying to push some videos up there a few times just to see if something changed, and eventually one video was uploaded. So I've been craving to do some updates here, and I'm definitely going to look at some backup options to this channel, because I'm not telling anybody on this channel what to do. All I'm doing is I'm sharing what I am doing, and I am trying to do it as smart, as intelligent, and as healthy as possible. Obviously, I have a very invested interest in getting healthy. So it's very annoying to know that there are limitations to that honesty when I'm doing it on this channel here. So that's got something to be looked into in the foreseeable future. Anyway, being the 19th of February, no, sorry, 19th of April, there's a lot of things happened. This month, I decided to go half of on my supplements. Apart from a few things, I think the melatonin that I get at night time is the same dose. And obviously milk thistle, which I'm at this month here, is also the same doses. So there's a few things that I have the same doses, but we're talking curcumin and we're talking vitamin D and all these things reduced in half. There are several reasons for it. I had a friend of mine who was asking me why I do not just cut it all out and then see what's going to happen. But the reason why I didn't do that is because my last PSA was 108. The previous one was 110, which is a minute change. And I don't even know if that small change is something that could happen within a day. So it really doesn't count for much. And I'm nervous if the PSA all of a sudden just explodes. And I right now have a hard time controlling it. Then if I have to control it from a much higher point, it will be much worse. So I'm nervous about doing anything like that, but let's get back to that a little bit later. So I decided just to go half on it. And I've been working this month, so I haven't had much time to do some research, but I'm starting that out again. And there's definitely going to be some changes for the next month. But one of the things that I also made a change, apart from halving all my supplements to save money and to see if I can do it and to see what makes an effect or not, is also to do intermittent fasting and fasting. And I'd say I've been more consistent with the fasting than I have been with my intermittent fasting. And I thought that's okay, because fasting is really where the battle is won, or the war is won, really. At least so I thought. Because here's the thing, the first time I did a 61 hours, and then I started eating again, and my stress level for the next couple of days was just through the roof. My heart rate variability dropped out of the sky, and I looked at it and I realized that maybe it was because the way I started to eat was a little bit too aggressive. I got too much food, or got too much of the wrong food, I don't know. So the next time I did a fasting, I did a 44-hour fasting, and I was more watchful about what I was eating. I got some bone broth to start out with, and I got later that day eggs and beef. But the same thing more or less happened, not to the same extent. Body just freaked totally out having something in the body. So I was like, what am I going to do about this? Then just by coincidence, I came across some information that I already knew, but because it's just a long trail of information and research, I do not remember it all. And that is, after 36 hours, apparently there is up to a 2,000% increase of hormone levels. Now, if you're having a hormone-driven cancer, then I suppose doing a fasting that increases the hormone levels is not really all that productive. It's very counterproductive, in fact. And I just remembered that last year I did make a video about that when I came across it. I also know that one of you viewers were coming on it and saying that the benefit outweighed the disadvantages by doing the fasting. And I think there might be some truth to that, but I think that to achieve that truth, you got to go for a full 7 days, so that you go past that 36 hours where you got the surge, and then in order to get full value out of your autophagy and all the other stem cell renewal and all the cell renewal, all the renewal or reboot of the immune system, to get the full effect of that, you got to go the old 7 days. If you do like what I did, where it's just somewhere between 44 and 61 hours, you basically just push yourself to the unfortunate part of having the increase of the hormone, but you don't get the full value of the autophagy on the other hand, so it is more minus than plus. At least that's how I look at it, because right after the second time I had my fasting, I developed prostatitis, and I am now, right now, as we're talking, on some very strong antibiotics that does not seem to work all that well. So I'm going to go down there and have myself a second dosage. So things is not really going all that well this month. I feel that something is progressing in the wrong direction. I have a more, conscious awareness of anomalies in perineum, and the same thing going in my groin, in my right side with my lymph nodes. And what is that all about? I don't know. But given the fact that I have to be on antibiotics because of prostatitis, I suspect that I've got some inflammation going on that I shouldn't have. This month, I've also started my citrus pectin, modified citrus pectin to be more specific. And I have been searching a little bit, and that should have no impact on my my prostatitis or anything like that, in a negative way anyway. So let's see what's going to happen there. I bought the citrus pectin, modified citrus pectin last year, and because it's a very strong antioxidant, it does not work very well with the forbidden things I cannot talk about. And so I opted out of using that and just had it stored for a while, and thought, I thought I never would make use of it, because I thought the other initiative I had would work so much better and I would solve the problem. But as we are here in 2025, about 2 years after, it seems that I cannot reach the result I want as fast as I want anyway. So now I'm taking the modified citrus pectin into the protocol as well. But I also read somebody mentioning that he had been combating prostate cancer for a few years as well. And he said that his experience was that it was the alternating protocols he was using that created the result for him. And he was not cured of it either, but that was what kept it at bay, because the cancer will in time learn how to mitigate the obstacles you provide for it with the supplements and whatnot, and by keep changing that up a bit, you will keep having it at bay. And that's basically what I've been doing, not to do specifically that, but that's because if I've seen something that worked, well, I've done it. If it didn't work, I stopped it. If I did something that seems to work but then eventually not work, then I'll change it again. So I've been doing that by following it very closely. Is it then really what's going on or not? I don't know. But it's a very exciting time, because just yesterday I finished the work I had to do, and I'm unemployed, which is negative in the terms that then I don't make money, but I'm covered for the next month or two. So I will be spending this time to do some more research. And if we've just got to shortly into a little bit of that, then I've just seen that there's been a lot of conversation about the use of Tutka and the use of milk thistle for liver support. And there's very contradictory information about both, I would say. But I've just now been using AI to see if I can get some more in-depth information on it. And it seems that while everybody are warning about using milk thistle for a hormone-sensitive cancer, and you could say prostate cancer is, then I think it's more aimed at people who has got breast cancer or estrogen-sensitive cancer than it is for testosterone cancer. And it also doesn't seem as if they are having any consensus on the matter anyway. But Tutka, to my surprise, which was the one I was using before, but quite expensive, has actually a functionality. It supports the liver very well, but apparently it inhibits apoptosis. And that's very counterproductive. because then that kind of render everything else I do worthless. So somebody mentioned that dandelion leaves or dandelion root or dandelion in general might be the way to go. That's the first I've heard of that. And so I also did a quick research on that, and it does seems to be, in laboratories anyway, in attempts on animals, to be something very promising, especially when you are looking at it versus milk thistle and tutka. So that's something I've got to be using next month instead of my current milk thistle. Milk thistle is very cheap though, so I'm pretty unhappy that that is not the way to go. But there's still something that I have to look further into. So anyway, it's been a roller coaster month, and as status is right now, about 2 weeks before I got to make my next PSA, I am not confident that it's going to be a good number. But to go back to the supplements and the halving of it, I am actually, and this is something I've got to research a little bit, contemplating doing what my friend he suggested me doing, and that is to cut it all out. I've always had this notion when I've done this that I wanted to do it as simple as I could, as cheap as I could, not just because I do not have an unlimited amount of money to pay for it, but also because I wanted something that would work for as many people as possible, not just for me. And I know that I am very fortunate by having money enough to do all the experiments I do and to buy the gear, lab gear and whatnot, to develop, for instance, cannabis the way I want. Not everybody are that privileged, and I would love to find a simplified way of doing things. And I also do believe that less is more, and that was also the philosophy that brought me to halve all my supplements, because it's kind of been the trail where I found something, looks promising, will work. I don't have anything in that down that trail, and so I bought it, like Tutka for instance. I didn't have anything for liver support, so I bought Tutka. Then I didn't have anything to clear out the body, so I bought the seropeptase. And then you needed something inflammatory, and they had various properties. If you're looking at black seed oils, if you look at curcumin, if you look at broccoli, if you're looking at stinging nettle root, which are all things I take. And it's because I looked at each one of them and I researched what they were doing and what benefits I could have from them, and thought, oh, that's a good and nice add-on. And then as I progressed with that, eventually I ended up with a whole shelves of add-ons. And now I'm starting to think maybe I'm just overdoing it, because what I want to do is support the immune system. I do not want to exert the immune system. I don't want to put too much stress on the immune system, and I do believe you might actually be able to do that. So that's why I've been reducing it. But now the question is, do I dare to run all the way down to zero and not doing any supplements? And I think I do dare do that. That was an interesting sentence, by the way. But what I got to do and what I got to figure out is what I'm going to do instead. And I've got to figure out not just what to do instead, but also got to find the mindset that means I believe in what I'm finding to do. So I've been running, I've been doing a little bit of meditations, and yeah, and then I've done my sunset ray kind of thing, where I sit in my chair and I absorb a little bit of the sun there, because that should be very good. I've not done grounding, which I know Gary Brecker is talking a lot about. So there are very things I can do, but there's a lot of things I already am doing. And what I want to do is to see if I can figure out a program or a protocol that is totally free of charge, and then see how much of an impact that will make on it. So that's something I'm looking into the next 2 weeks, while I ain't got any other things to do than just to do the funny research kind of thing. There was another thing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, well, I can't remember that. That must be for another video. Oh, no, there is another thing. I saw a video with a Dr. Patrick. You can probably look it up. And I'll see if I can find the link and I'll put it in the description. But it was an interview, a very, very, very good interview with Tucker Carlson and a Dr. Patrick Soon-Shiong or something like that. And he is a multi-millionaire or billionaire actually, had two pharmaceutical companies, very knowledgeable, been working with HPV vaccines and things like that. And he sold his companies and made $10 billion on it. He sold his companies, as far as I understood, to be able to freely pursue what he called the Holy Grail, and that is how to cure cancer. But he wanted to do it by initiating the body's own immune system. And it was extremely interesting because, like you said, if you go to an oncologist and he looks at your blood work, he looks at your platelets, he looks at various other variables, but he does not look at lymphocytes. And lymphocytes is actually killer T cells. That's where you get information about how well your body is functioning in terms of handling the cancer. Now, it just turns out that my lymphocyte numbers is above average, which is also another topic I've got to look into, because what does that actually mean? But he says that they already have a cancer vaccine, but he does call it BioShield. And he calls it BioShield because there's such a stigma to the word vaccine these days, and I understand that fully. And that I can't remember the exact functionality of this, but it has to do with the activation of killer T cells. But in order to make the body recognize the cancer, they were using a very small doses of radiation right on the tumor, and it was just like poking, irritating, waking up kind of doses, nothing but that, one single time. And in combination with his BioShield, the body would be activated, attack the cancer, and you'll restore your health without having to poison yourself, without having to compromise your immune system. Because as he rightfully says, every single treatment you can choose in the official system is killing your immune system, it's killing your T cells, it's killing your ability to heal yourself by yourself. And that's just not the way to go. And that's what I've been saying from the very beginning. If you go back and look at them all videos, you know that that's what I'm saying. Strengthen the immune system, do not kill it. That is very detrimental to your health and very unlogical. But anyway, that's how most people are choosing to do it. But what I'm now going to try to figure out is if there's a way to do what he does with the BioShield, but do it in a natural manner. And if there's some way to irritate or provoke the cancer the same way as radiation does it, but without radiation, but doing it a natural way as well. Because I kind of believe that there must be ways to do things this natural way. And I know that there are people who say, hey, can I sit here and be so arrogant thinking that I can come up with a natural solution to something that a whole team of experts spending their whole life trying to understand and researching and finding out have not yet accomplished. But the answer is very simple, actually. What they have done is focusing on the mechanics or the biology or the chemistry behind things and to understand it. And I'm piggybacking on all that information, which is something that I would have never had a chance to find out. Well, at least it will take me years to get to that point. And I wouldn't be able to do it on my own because there's been a whole team going down that path to find it. But what they are then, as an end result, doing is to find a common denominator to produce a product that can be used for the majority of people. So they spend 1,000 hours to produce something that can be used for 1,000 people, while I'm spending 1,000 hours that can be used for me personally. And there are so many variables to the equation that they will not have a living chance of taking those into consideration when they're making their products, when they're doing their research. For instance, a lot of people who's got cancer, a lot of them, many of them, and especially in these day and ages with all the poison you got in the food and so, are unhealthy and have various comorbidities and illnesses be that hypertension or pre-diabetic or diabetic or other sorts of issues in their bodies, and many of them have not done exercise their whole life. Some of them might have issues with white blood count, and red blood count, and there's a whole range of things that might be very different from my situation. I have done my very best for the past 2 years to keep my body in shape. So I'm in top 10% still as far as VO2 max goes, which means my heart is pumping oxygen around my body at a very, very, very good rate. My lymphocyte levels, as I mentioned, has been a little bit above what they are advising, but I mean, I've got prostate cancer, so my lymphocytes are obviously more active than if I was just healthy. So I don't consider that a bad thing, but I might be wrong. My cholesterol numbers are totally perfect. Basically everything is perfect. My bilirubin number is a bit above normal, but that's probably because I'm hydrating too poorly. So that foundation is very different than if you're going to look at the average person who get prostate cancer, both in terms of age and in terms of how fit they are, in terms of how well they're taking care of themselves, in terms of what they're eating and so on. And that's a very big topic, by the way. And so I don't think that I'm more smart than any other scientist who have come to these results like Dr. Patrick has. But Dr. Patrick does not know me. He does not know my situation. He does not know my health. He does not know my body. He does not know what I am capable of as a person. How much stamina do I have? How much persistence and discipline do I have to pull through at places and things that a lot of people that just end up being couch potatoes and say, no, I can't be bothered. Like, for instance, doing running. I'm doing somewhere between 80 and 100 kilometers running every month. And I really do dislike running. In the sense that the days where my feet are working, I do like it. But especially lately, to get my shoes on and get out running, I don't want it. But I know that running is what keeps my heart working, it's what keeps my blood flowing, it is what, if not preventing, then at least slowing metastases down. And I know it is what keeps my white blood cell counts and my red blood cell counts up. And I know that's all interconnected with my immune system and the ability for me to fight this off. And I need to keep on doing that until either I find a solution or that the world find a solution that is viable. And that reminds me back to Dr. Patrick. His cancer vaccine is a vaccine at this point only approved for bladder cancer, but I think it is the same function of action or whatever you say that, whether it has been used for any other kind of cancer, more or less. I don't know if it would work for leukemia, but I think it would work the same way for breast cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer, or whatever kind of cancer you have. But he cannot use it for anything else but what it has been approved for in FDA context. And he said that he has been spending 8 years to get to the point where it got approved, and he had to submit 700,000 pages before it was finally approved for that specific cancer. So the possibility within the realm of 5 years to see a product like BioShield being approved for prostate cancer, I don't know what they are, because there's so many obstructions from the FDA side. But we might see changes now with the changes happening in the US. But knowing that the COVID vaccine was approved in mere months, and you have something that has a lot better prospects for the future to save a lot of people, will take 700,000 pages and 8 years to get approved. It is very frustrating. So that's why I'm saying there might be, and I am actually confident there is, the problem is just to find it, a way to provoke the cancer to the same extent as radiation will do it, and a way to start or kickstart the T cells in order to come in action when that provocation happens, and that must be ways to do that in natural manners. It turns out when I'm searching for ways to activate the T cells that I am basically doing all of it already, including sitting out in the early morning for the sunrise or in the evening for the sunset to get the last few rays of the sun as it goes down by the horizon or rises of the horizon. And this is something you got to research yourself if you want to know more information about it. But apparently, it's something to do with the wavelength of the light that has to travel so much further, and it has to travel through more atmosphere before it reaches us. And that specific wavelength has some positive impact, including activation of T cells. So this is already a long video, I suspect, but that's how it is. Now I'm just happy I'm able to upload it again. It won't be on this channel. I will be sharing my full journey, but where I will be doing that, I'll get back to you. I'll try to look at Rumble, but I can't upload on that channel for some reason. I don't know why. So it might be on a private blog somewhere where I'm not under the influence of anything, but might be the search engine optimization from Google. But we'll look at that, and I'll get back to you when it gets there. Until then, stay happy and healthy.